If you think barbecue is just throwing meat on a grill and waiting for it to cook, you have been missing out on decades of knowledge that Chinese grill masters have been using to produce some of the most incredible food you have ever tasted. Chinese people have been perfecting the art of open-flame cooking for thousands of years, and today, we are counting down 33 of the most useful, clever, and genuinely surprising barbecue hacks that you are going to wish you discovered way sooner. We start at number 33 and count all the way down to number 1. And then I have got a bonus hack at the very end that pulls everything together in a way that will genuinely blow your mind. Stay until the end, because that bonus is worth every second. Number 33. Use green onion oil as your base basting liquid. Before you reach for butter or olive oil, try this instead. Heat a small pot of neutral oil like vegetable oil until it shimmers, then drop in a generous handful of sliced green onions. Let them sizzle until they turn golden and fragrant. Then strain the oil and let it cool slightly. Chinese people use this technique constantly when preparing grilled meats because the allium compounds in green onions infuse directly into the fat molecules of the oil, creating a basting liquid that penetrates the meat surface far more effectively than plain butter does. When you brush this onto chicken thighs or pork chops during the last few minutes of grilling, you get a savory, aromatic crust that tastes like it took hours of marinating. Number 32. Salt your meat with coarse sea salt at least 45 minutes before grilling, then pat it completely dry. Most Americans salt right before or right after cooking, but the Chinese method involves salting well in advance and then removing the moisture the salt draws out. Here is why it works. Salt initially pulls moisture to the surface, but if you wait long enough, that moisture reabsorbs back into the meat along with the dissolved salt, seasoning from within rather than just coating the outside. Patting the surface dry before grilling then gives you a drier exterior, which means better searing and that gorgeous crust everyone wants. Number 31. Make a quick char siu style marinade using honey, soy sauce, hoisin, and 5-spice powder. Chinese barbecue pork, known as char siu, gets its sticky caramelized coating from this combination. Mix 2 tablespoons of honey, 2 tablespoons of light soy sauce, 1 tablespoon of hoisin sauce, and half a teaspoon of 5-spice powder. Marinate pork, shoulder, or chicken for at least 4 hours. The honey caramelizes at high heat. The soy sauce provides glutamates that deepen savory flavor, the hoisin adds body and sweetness, and the 5-spice gives that distinctly aromatic quality. This marinade works on practically every protein you can put on a grill. Number 30. Place a small metal bowl of water inside your kettle grill or smoker to regulate temperature. Chinese cooking has long understood moisture management in enclosed cooking environments. Water absorbs heat and releases it slowly, acting as a thermal buffer that prevents wild temperature swings. This means your grill maintains a more consistent temperature throughout the cook, which is especially useful for larger cuts of meat that need long, even heat. Just fill a small metal or cast iron bowl halfway with water and position it away from direct flame. Number 29. Use Shaoxing rice wine in your marinade instead of beer or wine. Shaoxing wine is a fermented rice wine used extensively in Chinese cooking, and it contains natural esters and alcohols that break down muscle fibers in meat far more gently than acidic marinades like those with vinegar or citrus. Unlike beer, which can make meat slightly bitter when grilled at high heat, Shaoxing wine burns off cleanly and leaves behind a subtly sweet, nutty flavor. You can find it at any Asian grocery store, and many mainstream supermarkets now carry it too. Number 28. Skewer your vegetables on double skewers, not single ones. This sounds simple, but it changes everything about vegetable grilling. When you use a single skewer, vegetables spin freely, and you can never get an even sear. Chinese street food vendors figured out long ago that threading 2 parallel skewers through each item keeps everything locked in place and flat against the grill grate. You flip once, you get even char on both sides, and nothing spins or falls apart. Use this for mushrooms, bell pepper chunks, zucchini slices, and thick onion rings. Number 27. Apply your sauce in the final 2 to 3 minutes only. This is one of the most important timing rules in Chinese barbecue culture. Most grilling sauces, whether it is a teriyaki glaze, char siu sauce, or a hoisin-based mixture, contain a high percentage of sugar. Sugar burns at around 300 degrees Fahrenheit, and your grill grate is often running much hotter than that. Apply sauce too early, and you get acrid, bitter char rather than beautiful caramelization. Chinese grill masters wait until the last 2 to 3 minutes of cooking. Apply a thin coat of sauce, let it set and slightly bubble, then pull the meat. The result is a glossy, sticky, perfectly caramelized exterior. Number 26. Rest your grilled meat on a wire rack, not a cutting board. When you set grilled meat directly on a flat surface, the bottom side steams from its own trapped heat and moisture, softening that beautiful crust you just spent time building. Chinese chefs elevate rested meat on wire racks so air circulates underneath, keeping the crust intact on all sides. Just place a rack over a sheet pan and let your meat rest there for 5 to 10 minutes before slicing. Number 25. Use dried tangerine peel in your coal bed for aromatic smoke. This is one of those techniques that the Chinese have been using for centuries and that most Western grillers have never encountered. Dried tangerine peel, available at Chinese herbal stores and many Asian supermarkets, releases a citrusy, slightly bitter aromatic smoke when placed among hot coals. This smoke imparts a subtle, complex fragrance to grilled chicken and fish that is unlike any wood chip you have ever used. Soak a few pieces in water for about 20 minutes before placing them on your coals, just like you would with wood chips. Number 24. Score your proteins before marinating. Chinese cooks routinely score shallow cuts into the surface of meats before they go into a marinade. Use a sharp knife to make diagonal cuts about a quarter-inch deep across the surface of thick chicken breasts, pork chops, or fish fillets. These channels give the marinade direct access to the interior of the meat, dramatically shortening the time needed for flavor to penetrate. For a piece of chicken, scoring can reduce effective marination time from 8 hours to just 2 hours because the marinade is no longer fighting to get past an unbroken surface. Number 23. Grill your buns or bread directly over the flame for exactly 60 seconds per side. Chinese barbecue vendors never serve cold or soft bread alongside their grilled meats. They put buns, mantou, or flatbreads directly over medium flame for 60 seconds on each side, developing a slight char that adds bitterness to balance the rich, fatty, sweet flavors of the meat. The toasting also creates a barrier on the bread surface that prevents it from going soggy when loaded with juicy fillings. Try this with burger buns, hoagie rolls, or even plain white bread. Number 22. Add a small amount of baking soda to your marinade for beef and pork. This is a well-known secret in Chinese cooking called velveting, and it works spectacularly for grilled meats too. Dissolve a quarter teaspoon of baking soda per pound of meat into your marinade. The alkaline environment raises the pH of the meat surface, which prevents protein fibers from seizing and toughening during the high heat of grilling. The result is meat that stays noticeably more tender and juicy than it would without this addition. Use it with thin sliced beef for Korean-style short ribs or pork belly strips. Number 21. Keep a spray bottle of diluted soy sauce and water at the grill. Chinese street food vendors keep spray bottles nearby during service, and many fill them with a simple solution of 1 part light soy sauce to 3 parts water. A quick spray over grilling meat or vegetables adds an instant hit of savory flavor, creates a gorgeous browning effect from the amino acids in the soy sauce reacting with heat, and helps keep the surface of the food from drying out during longer cooks. It is quick, easy, and costs almost nothing. Number 20. Thread meats loosely on skewers, leaving tiny gaps between pieces. This is counterintuitive because most people pack skewers tight to maximize food per stick. But Chinese people who cook skewered meats, known as chuan in northern Chinese barbecue tradition, leave small gaps between each piece. Why? Because heat needs to circulate around each individual piece to cook it evenly. Tightly packed pieces steam against each other rather than sear, which is why they come out pale and soft rather than golden and slightly charred. Loose threading means every surface of every piece gets direct exposure to heat. Number 19. Use a banana leaf as a natural grill mat for delicate fish. While banana leaves are more common in Southeast Asian cooking, Chinese coastal communities have long used large leaves as natural barriers between delicate proteins and direct flame. A banana leaf placed on the grill grate prevents fish from sticking, imparts a very subtle vegetal, slightly sweet aroma, and allows you to cook fragile fish fillets without them falling apart through the grate. Char the leaf on both sides first, then lay your seasoned fish on top. You can find banana leaves at most Asian grocery stores, often in the freezer section. Number 18. Create a two-zone fire and use them strategically. Chinese barbecue culture, particularly the tradition seen in Xinjiang province where lamb skewers are a regional obsession, has always used different heat zones for different cooking stages. Build your fire or arrange your charcoal so one side of the grill is significantly hotter than the other. Start proteins on the hot side to get a quick, aggressive sear that locks in surface flavor and color, then move them to the cooler side to finish cooking through without burning. This is especially important for thick cuts of pork or bone-in chicken. Number 17. Season your grill grate with lard or rendered pork fat rather than vegetable oil. Most grill guides tell you to oil your grates with a high smoke point oil like canola. Chinese grill masters, however, often prefer to use a small piece of raw pork belly fat or rendered lard on a paper towel to season the grates. Animal fats polymerize differently than plant-based oils and create a more durable non-stick coating on the metal grates. The fat also adds a subtle richness to whatever you cook first on the grate. This is the same principle behind why cast iron skillets seasoned with lard outperform those seasoned with vegetable oil. Number 16. Mix your spice rubs with a touch of white sugar before applying. In Chinese barbecue, particularly in the lamb and pork skewer traditions, spice blends almost always include a small amount of sugar. This is not about making things sweet. The sugar in the rub caramelizes quickly under high heat and creates a thin, sticky layer that helps other spices and seasonings adhere to the meat surface rather than falling off into the fire. Just add half a teaspoon of white sugar per tablespoon of spice blend. You will notice dramatically better crust development and spice retention. Number 15. Marinate with grated pear or kiwi for rapid natural tenderizing. This hack comes from Chinese cooking technique influenced by neighboring Korean traditions the Chinese people have adopted and adapted. Pears and kiwi both contain powerful natural enzymes, bromelain in kiwi and similar proteolytic enzymes in Asian pear, that break down tough muscle fibers in meat remarkably quickly. Grate a quarter of a kiwi or half an Asian pear into your marinade. Do not leave the meat in for longer than 2 hours, or the enzymes will break down the texture too far, leaving it mushy. 2 hours is the sweet spot for perfectly tender results. Number 14. Skewer garlic cloves alongside your meat and use them as a basting tool. This is a brilliantly practical technique from Chinese night market cooking. Thread whole unpeeled garlic cloves between pieces of meat on the skewer. As the garlic roasts on the grill, it softens and becomes spreadable. During cooking, you can squeeze the softened garlic directly from its skin onto the meat as a natural fire-roasted basting agent. The roasting process transforms raw garlic's sharp, aggressive bite into something mellow, sweet, and deeply savory, which then coats the meat with every squeeze. Number 13. Add cornstarch to your marinade for a crispier exterior. This is the second component of the Chinese velveting technique, and it works beautifully for grilled items too. Adding 1 teaspoon of cornstarch per pound of meat to your marinade creates a very thin coating that, when it hits the high heat of a grill, transforms into an almost imperceptibly thin, crispy shell. This is why Chinese restaurant grilled meats often have that slightly glossy, slightly crispy surface quality that is hard to replicate at home without knowing this trick. Number 12. Rest your charcoal for 10 minutes after lighting before putting food on. Chinese grill masters, especially those running charcoal-fired setups, never rush to put food on fresh charcoal. When charcoal is first lit, it releases volatile compounds and produces a lot of white smoke that has an acrid, petroleum-like quality. Letting the charcoal rest until it turns fully gray and the smoke becomes thin and blue, or almost disappears, ensures that none of those off-putting flavors transfer to your food. 10 to 15 minutes of patience makes an enormous difference in the clean, pure flavor of everything you cook. Number 11. Use a whole spring onion as a grill brush. Here is a surprisingly effective and aromatic tool that Chinese grill cooks use constantly. Take a whole spring onion or a small bundle of them. Fold them over and grip them with tongs, then use them to scrub your hot grill grates before cooking. The natural moisture and sulfur compounds in the spring onion clean residue from the grate while simultaneously seasoning it with a light onion flavor. It also creates a tiny bit of steam on the grate surface, which helps clean stuck-on bits. When you are done, you can chop and use the spring onions as a garnish. Number 10. Butterfly your proteins to create more surface area for flavor. Chinese cooks, particularly when preparing duck or whole chickens for open flame cooking, almost always butterfly the bird rather than grilling it whole. Butterflying involves removing the backbone and pressing the bird flat. This dramatically increases the surface area in contact with the grill grate, allows marinades and spice rubs to penetrate more effectively, and cuts cooking time significantly. The same principle applies to pork tenderloin, which you can butterfly open and pound flat before marinating for a faster, more evenly cooked result. Number 9. Add dried red chilies to your coal bed for spicy, aromatic smoke. This technique is particularly beloved in the Sichuan and Hunan barbecue traditions in China, where bold, numbing heat is a cornerstone of the flavor profile. A handful of dried red chilies tossed onto hot coals release capsaicin-infused smoke that deposits a faint, complex heat on whatever is cooking above. It is subtle but unmistakable, adding a layer of warmth and complexity that no spice rub or sauce can fully replicate, because it works from the outside in through smoke contact rather than surface application. Number 8. Make a quick dipping sauce from doubanjiang and sesame oil. Doubanjiang is a fermented broad bean and chili paste that is the backbone of Sichuan cuisine, and it makes one of the most incredible dipping sauces for grilled meats with almost zero effort. Mix 1 tablespoon of doubanjiang with 1 teaspoon of toasted sesame oil, 1 teaspoon of rice vinegar, and a pinch of sugar. The fermentation in doubanjiang provides a deep, complex umami backbone. The sesame oil adds nuttiness, the vinegar provides brightness, and the sugar balances the heat. This sauce works with virtually any grilled meat or vegetable. Number 7. Use a cooling rack inverted over your grill to create a second-level cooking surface. Chinese street food vendors often rig improvised elevated platforms over their grills to create a warmer but not scorching zone where they can park partially cooked items while they finish others. An inverted wire cooling rack placed on top of your grill grates creates a raised surface about 2 inches above the main cooking area. This spot runs about 50 to 70 degrees cooler, which makes it perfect for resting glazed items without burning the sauce, or for slowly warming bread and buns while proteins finish cooking below. Number 6. Marinate in a Ziploc bag with all air removed. This might seem like a basic tip, but the way Chinese cooks use this method is what makes it special. Remove as much air as possible from the bag before sealing, which effectively puts your marinade under slight pressure against the meat surface. This increases the contact between marinade and protein enormously compared to a bowl soak, where much of the meat surface is only intermittently submerged. You can marinate for half the time and achieve the same or better penetration using this method. For extra effectiveness, gently massage the bag every 30 minutes. Number 5. Finish grilled meats with a drizzle of chili oil and toasted sesame seeds. This is the finishing touch that separates average grilled food from genuinely memorable meals. Chinese people almost universally add a finishing element to grilled dishes rather than serving them as is. A drizzle of chili oil, the kind with crispy bits and aromatic spices like star anise and cinnamon suspended in the oil, followed by a scattering of toasted sesame seeds adds textural contrast, visual appeal, and a final layer of complex flavor that brings everything together. Make it or buy Lao Gan Mei brand, which is widely available in the United States. Number 4. Cook green onions whole until completely charred, then serve alongside the meat. Whole charred green onions are a staple accompaniment in Chinese barbecue culture, particularly in the northern regions. Lay whole green onions directly on the grill over high heat and let them char completely on the outside. When you peel back the blackened outer layer, you reveal a silky, sweet, intensely flavored inner onion that has effectively steamed inside its own protective charred shell. The contrast between the smoky char on the outside and the delicate sweetness inside is astonishing. Eat them alongside your protein or chop and use as a topping. Number 3. Rest your coals for exactly 10 minutes after lighting before placing any food. This is the most violated rule in American backyard barbecue culture. Chinese outdoor cooks will wait until their charcoal is uniformly gray-white on the surface, indicating complete combustion of the starter compounds and a stable, even heat output. Placing food on newly lit, still flaming charcoal means your food gets sooty, unevenly cooked, and exposed to harsh chemical byproducts from incomplete combustion. The 10-minute wait feels frustrating, but the difference in food quality is enormous. White coals mean clean heat, and clean heat means clean flavor. Number 2. Finish all grilled meat with a drizzle of Chinese black vinegar and toasted sesame oil. Xinjiang black vinegar, which comes from Jiangsu province in China, is a complex, mildly sweet, richly aromatic rice vinegar that Chinese people use as a finishing condiment on everything from dumplings to braised pork. A tiny drizzle over freshly grilled meat, followed by a few drops of toasted sesame oil, creates a finish that amplifies every flavor underneath it. The acidity cuts through the richness of the fat, the sweetness of the vinegar complements the char, and the sesame oil adds a final aromatic flourish. This 3-second finishing step transforms good barbecue into extraordinary barbecue. Number 1. The most powerful hack of all. Control your smoke by choosing your wood based on the protein. Chinese barbecue tradition, from Cantonese roasting to Chuan to Shandong barbecue, has always matched wood type to protein type with intentional precision. For pork, use lychee wood or apple wood for sweetness. For lamb, use rosemary wood or juniper for earthiness. For chicken, use mulberry wood or cherry wood for a gentle fruity smoke. For seafood, use rice straw or very mild fruit wood and keep the smoke minimal. Getting this match right is the single biggest variable in outdoor cooking that most people completely ignore. And now the bonus hack you stayed for. This is the one that will genuinely change every single barbecue you ever do from this point forward. Chinese cooks who make the famous Peking duck use a technique called air drying to achieve that impossibly crispy skin. You can apply this to any protein before grilling. After marinating your chicken, pork, or duck, place it uncovered on a rack in your refrigerator for 24 to 48 hours. A small electric fan directed into the fridge on low speed accelerates this dramatically. The circulating air removes surface moisture more effectively than any towel or paper, and when that ultra-dry skin hits the grill, it goes crackling crispy in a way that nothing else achieves. Chinese people have been doing this for centuries with whole animals before roasting. Apply it to your chicken wings, your pork belly slabs, even your burger patties before grilling, and you will achieve a sear and a crust that your guests will be talking about for years. If you made it all the way to the end of this video, you now have more actionable barbecue knowledge than most people will accumulate in a lifetime of summer cookouts. Try even 3 or 4 of these hacks at your next backyard barbecue, and you will taste the difference immediately. Share this video with your grilling friends because everyone deserves to eat better food. And hit that subscribe button because we have got a lot more content like this coming. See you in the next one.